love and peace unite us all over the world, all over the world. And can you see it? If you hold out your hand, then you can reach it. If we just believe it, I know that we can make this dream come true. Me and you. Though time will tell, I think we owe it to ourselves to make the best of it, so that tomorrow and beyond we can sing a joyful song and leave a testament. We knew we could do this if we tried. You and I, side by side. Now we're flying higher. We heard our destiny calling. A brand new day is dawning all over the world, all over the world. Our future is much brighter as we let love and peace unite us all over the world, all over the world.
They say size matters, but in radio, it's not just size, it's quality. DBS Radio has the largest size, reaches all over the island more than any other. But DBS also has quality. DBS, radio with quality. White Chocobole Radio.
Welcome to Talking Point. Monday, March 14 already. Not too long ago, we welcomed the month of March, and look at where we are now. It's roughly 2.5 weeks before we say goodbye to March and welcome April. But we have guests this morning on Talking Point. It is a pleasure to welcome you to Talking Point this morning. You may have heard the promotion from since last night. Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritts, and the Minister with responsibility that is for the blue and green economy, agriculture and national food security, Fidel Grant, our guest this morning on Talking Points. The topic this morning is innovation and growth in agriculture. Today is also Commonwealth Day, and for us this is the big significance. Dominica, of course, a member of the Commonwealth, and we have to always remember that there's a rich diversity that members of the Commonwealth share. Today also, Dr. Addis King is representing Dominica in New York at a very big event, a very big function. The 66th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, and that goes up until the 25th of March, and we say hats off to Dr. Addis King. I know that she will give good representation. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritts and Honorable Fidel Grant, as I said, join me this morning. Gentlemen, good morning and Welcome to Talking Points. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Ivan, and of course, good morning to the listeners of DBS Radio. And thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Good morning, this is Loge. Good morning to your listeners. And good morning, of course, to our farmers and fisher folks.
All right. We welcome all listeners to DBS Radio. We are also on Facebook bringing this live. We are also live on Kyrie FM and social media platforms, GIS Facebook page as well, bringing this live, and Kyrie FM as well. So we are well covered. Now, let me say very early that we have a specific topic this morning. We have a focus. We want to put agriculture and more so innovation in agriculture in the spotlight. So this is on the front burner on Talking Point this morning. Sometime later, we will take your calls. We will give you the number, of course, when you have to call. But let us begin the program. I believe there's a lot happening in agriculture that we have to talk about. So let us start the discussion. Prime Minister Skerrit, for a while now, you have taken up agriculture, taken up farming as well. So you too are a farmer. I'm sure that you will benefit from the discussion here today in terms of what government has to offer. And let us look at the developments in agriculture. But Prime Minister, even before we start off with the discussion on agriculture, let me delve into you representing Dominica at a recent CARICOM meeting, heads meeting. We have seen the signing of two major agreements as well, just recently, in fact, as recent as last week. So let us look at that before we delve into agriculture.
Well, the two agreements which we signed last week, one, I believe you're referencing the small business loan with the aid bank at some $27.4 million that the government has provided to the aid bank to lend to Dominican citizens and residents of Dominica at a 3.5% interest rate with a 6 months grace period on the payment of interest and principal, and a 10-year period to repay the sum borrowed. And this is a major plus, especially trying to get into the post-COVID period and ensuring that small businesses can be sustained and people, Dominican citizens with new ideas who would like to get into business themselves and need financing, they too can attract financing from the aid bank. So it comes at the right time. It comes at an opportune time for so many Dominicans, because we believe as a government that small business, the small business sector lends itself to tremendous opportunities in employment, foreign exchange, even for agriculture and the use of primary products and adding value to it. And there's so many people who are involved in small businesses. We have seen a dramatic increase in the number of small businesses in our country over the last several years. So I'm very happy to have made the monies available. Obviously, these monies could have gone to anything. The government so decided, but we decided to give priority to small business owners and small business ventures in Dominica. And of course, the second is it was a very historic signing. It is the Kalinago Development Fund. That fund targeting the Kalinago brothers and sisters and seeking to improve the economic fortunes of the Kalinago territory, in improving the landscape, the economic and environment, creating jobs and really helping to build the Kalinago territory, recognizing the historical and present challenge of land ownership and their inability to use their lands as collateral like the rest of us in the country to contract a loan at the financial institutions. And so that has held back the territory to some extent, because those who would have wanted to build, especially public officers, would have had to build outside of the Kalinago territory. And so the whole idea is to have those funds concentrated in the Kalinago territory. Small business, they could use it for the agro-processing, use it for craft development, tourism, to build a home, to buy a vehicle for their farm, or my friends there who transport students to school, or Kalinago brothers and sisters to and from the various parts of the country. That is a 2% interest with a 6 month grace period as well, and a 10-year repayment plan. It really can't get much better than that. And so I'm very happy that we have been able to launch this historic initiative. We have put in some $860,000 in the fund now, and a firm commitment had been given by myself as Minister of Finance to include $1 million every year for the next 5 years to further capitalize that fund. And of course, it will be a revolving fund. So God willing, it will be here for us until the Lord comes to judge the living and the dead.
Surely this will augur well for the people of the Kalinago territory, because I always see that they have a unique, but they are at a disadvantage. They have a unique, I would say, space, but they are at a disadvantage, not being, able to have title to their land. Honorable Grant, let me bring you in the discussion. We are seeing major developments, major advances in the agriculture sector. Just this past week, a $13 million agreement was signed with China, and the 8th phase of the China 8 Dominica Agricultural Technical Cooperation Agreement. What really does this entail? But Honorable Grant, even before you ask this question, let me give you the opportunity, of course, to explain to us what your ministry entails. Agriculture, food and national security.
Okay, thank you, Ivona. The ministry is involved in a lot of things as we speak, but mainly we are responsible for agriculture, which is crops, livestock, and the blue economy, of course, which is a significant part which encompasses the fisheries component. But there are a number of things that we are doing right now. One of the significant achievements recently is that we recently passed at the cabinet level the approval of the roadmap for the blue economy. This is significant because there is not only a lot of funding available under the blue economy, but the impact on our lives in terms of sustainable livelihoods and protecting our marine space is very significant, and I look forward to that development in the coming months.
When we hear the blue economy, what should immediately come to mind?
The blue economy, the ocean. And how do we use the ocean to create sustainable jobs, but most importantly, protecting the ocean for our generations to come.
Let us look at the $13 million agreement that was signed just last week, and what does it entail for us? Well,
let me first express my gratitude on behalf of the government to the People's Republic of China, because the People's Republic of China has been a significant partner to the ministry and, of course, to the government. But what this agreement entails is the development of our tissue culture facility. Now, that facility is not just a building, but they will also be providing technical expertise in terms of the propagation of seedlings. The Chinese team has been with us for the last 16 years, and we have seen their work come to light in the last 2 years when we have seen the production of seedlings during the COVID pandemic, where we ran the successful backyard gardening program. Now, this facility would see that we have a wide variety of tissue culture plants being propagated. But as we know, propagation is the base of agriculture, and we need healthy plants in order to have a sustainable industry, and that is what this facility will be doing for us.
Prime Minister Skerrit, when you delivered the budget address last year, 2021-2022 National Budget Address, you indicated that there would be a lot of developments in agriculture. I remember that you said in terms of the major developments, $31.9 million has been allocated to the ministry. In terms of the advances that we have made from since the declaration to now, what can you tell us?
Well, a number of things have happened. I mean, we continue to provide farmers and fisher folk with tremendous direct assistance, especially under the Agricultural Livelihoods Project, with funds that we have contracted, we have loaned from the World Bank. So we provide farmers with inputs, with some cases cash, other instances we provide them with equipment and tools, implements to assist them on the farms, and generally farmers are very happy, and we have been able to see the difference of those investments in terms of our food production and the wide variety of crops that we have on island. So we're very happy for this, and of course we've been able to provide loans to farmers at highly concessionary rates, especially during the pandemic. We have been able to provide farmers with farm support, the payment of farm labor for many farmers. We continue to work on farm roads, and I'm hoping that the minister can speak to some of the farm roads and the contracts that have been signed to dramatically improve several roads, and others are being studied with regards to estimates and moving to the contractual phases. We have many other programs in agriculture, and of course the minister mentioned with regards to the Chinese, and it's something we're pushing very, very hard, because the whole idea behind this new agricultural thrust is to ensure that we have greater innovation and the use of technology. and improving the quality of plants in the process. And of course, the presence of the tissue culture facility, which has been provided to us by the Chinese, will certainly help in improved quality of plants, two, the availability of plants and seedlings, and of course, improving the increasing the production of crops, because most times you have a challenge with the quality of plants, the quality of seedlings, and if your seedlings are in a poor quality, then you expect there to be a serious deficiency in terms of production levels. We also making progress with regards to livestock, and especially where the abattoir is concerned. And later this week, and I'm hoping that we can speak about this, the consultation that we're having to bring all stakeholders together. Because we have the abattoir is functioning very well, obviously. We're going to have to improve on certain administrative issues there to ensure that the payment to farmers is done in a more efficient manner, and so that we can see a continued increase in production of pork and production of poultry parts. So the number of very exciting things happening. And of course, I'm hoping later you give me the opportunity to speak about another initiative that we're going to be putting to the farmers, to young professionals out there, in terms of focusing on high value crops, many of which we import a lot of, and how do we go about addressing this? And I think we have thought of an idea, and we're going to present it to citizens, and of course to those who are interested in exploring that opportunity. But key there is the introduction also of hydroponics and smart greenhouses. We
that's
absolutely that's the way forward. And so we've been focusing heavily on this, and we'll be also procuring a number of the smart greenhouses and hydroponic systems to distribute among farmers across Dominica.
You're listening to Talking Points. We are also on Carry FM, and we are bringing this live on the internet as well. We have with us the Prime Minister of Dominica, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, and we also have Honorable Fidel Grant, who has responsibility for agriculture, the blue and green economy, and national food security. Sometime later, we'll open up the line to take your calls. Let me go on up to Mr. Grant. A number of feeder routes, and the Prime Minister made mention of that whilst he was answering that question just before. A number of feeder road projects are underway with funding from the European Union Development Fund, with the Ministry of the Blue and Green Economy, of course, and that ministry that you had as the beneficiary minister. Can you bring us up to date on this, especially where it relates to feeder routes and access to farming?
All right. Just permit me so that I speak to specific interventions that's ongoing. The total contracts that have been signed and awarded as we speak of as of today is $9.9 million. And some of the roads include the Middlewood Road, that's Calibishi, the Mopo Makato Feeder Road, Grand Bay, the Formi Road, Cassie Bruce, Beauplat Feeder Road, Paybush, the Agriculture Station Road, that's at La Plaine. Work actually commenced this morning on that feeder road. Other interventions totaling somewhere in the region of $13 million would include the Mango Gutter Feeder Road, that's Wesley, and that's an important artery for the two communities which I have the honor to lead, Wesley and Woodford Hill. So we should see work commence on that shortly. The Grand Riviere Feeder Road, La Plaine, the Cuba Feeder Road, Cahome. We have a number of farmers in that area have been complaining about that road, and we are pleased that we will be able to do some interventions on that road, because we know the Cahome Feeder Road, the Cahome area serves quite a bit of farmers in the St. Joe Salisbury area, and there is significant production in that area. We also have the Monratchet Heights. Farmers have been complaining of that, so we will be addressing that. So overall, I think our farmers will be pleased this morning to know that we have responded in a tangible way to some of their concerns as it relates to feeder road. Yes, we wish we could do more, but we again just to remind our farmers that during a pandemic and during a war, we see our government still committed to agriculture, and development of feeder road means that we will now have better access to our farm, and there will be less damage post-harvest with crops leaving the farm. So the time in which it takes to get to your farm will reduce significantly because you now have a better road. We will also see that there's less post-harvest damage to your crops because the drive will be smoother.
Prime Minister Skerrit, these advances in agriculture that we speak about, we have referenced. are these deliberate measures taken by your government in increasing production and growing the agricultural sector? How would you describe the overarching policy of your government on the development of the sector?
Well, we continue to make it very clear to our citizens that agriculture is our main focus in government. Yes, we put in serious emphasis on tourism because they all come hand in hand. If we have more hotels and we have more restaurants and we have more people coming into the country, then certainly we're going to have to consume more fish, we're going to have to consume more beef, more pork, more agricultural produce, more vegetables, more fruits. And of course, with the construction of international airport, we can certainly facilitate the export of agricultural produce, especially flowers and fruits and vegetables, which have a very shorter shelf life than other produce. So the overarching objectives of policy objectives of the government is to ensure that we can feed ourselves, food security, ensuring as far as possible that what we eat, that's what we grow in Dominica, and it's important. Secondly, is to ensure that we can create jobs, especially in rural Dominica, because agriculture, if properly managed, you can make money from it, and you can create wealth from it, and you can create more jobs besides job for yourself and your family, immediate family. You can create those opportunities. Also, export earnings, to be able to export and bring in foreign exchange. Because when the produce go to St. Thomas and goes to St. Martin and goes to Guadeloupe, we bring in the euros, we bring in the US dollars, and that's for the foreign exchange. So, and it adds to what we have in our country, and it circulates. Then the issue of reducing our food import bill. The more we grow and the more we consume what we grow, is the less there'll be a need to import. And this is one of the focus of our consultation on Wednesday with a wide cross-section of the society, to ensure that things we produce in Dominica, let us first eat them. Let us first consume in Dominica. You understand? And also to ensure that we have enough to be able to export. And all of what the minister has mentioned with feeder roads and the tissue culture plant and et cetera, all of these are elements to ensure and to assist us in achieving those objectives. So when we invest in the farms, I mean in La Plaine or in Woodfordale and Wesley, the major farm roads there, in Paybush and in Calibishi, in Grand Bay with the two farm roads there, over $1.1 million being spent on in Grand Bay. Over I believe about $4 million in Calibishi these are massive investments, and all of these things are geared towards facilitating the farmers with regards to access to the market, to the farms, and also easier access to the produce to the markets. But these are investments. Sometimes people don't understand and appreciate its impact. So all of these things we're doing to ensure that those overarching policy objectives can be met and can also help reduce the cost of production to farmers. So we subsidize agriculture heavily in Dominica. Your farm income is not taxed by way of income tax. You get in duty free for vehicles. The farm supplies are not subjected to taxes. We work with bilateral partners like Morocco and, of course, the contracting of the funds from the World Bank to ensure that we have the resources to add to what we have been able to generate within the local economy to help the farming community to be able to produce more, produce better quality, and to ensure that we can sell out there and we can consume that which we produce in Dominica. So, and of course, you have seen the construction of the abattoir I mentioned earlier. The whole idea being the abattoir is to ensure that the high import bill we have for chicken and chicken parts, in the short term we can take 10% of it. In the medium term, take 30% of it, and in the long term, take 90% of it. And so at some point in the next 10, 15 years, we can be self-sufficient where chicken parts are concerned. And then the 14, 15, 20, $21 million that we're using to import these things from Portsmouth in the United Kingdom or from Brazil or from the United States can stay in Dominica. And when $21 million stay in Dominica, and it is shared among farmers, you can understand and appreciate the impact on the local economy. So there are two things that we have to do. One, consume more of what we produce, or all of what we produce, and then thereby reducing the import bill. And this is, I said, this is one of the main engagements we'll be having this week, and of course the weeks forward and so forth, so that we can tie supply and demand very clearly and reconcile them to ensure that the complaints we're getting on both ends, that those complaints can be something of the past, we hope.
Self-sufficiency, food security, reducing the import bill. These stay with me. Prime Minister Skerrit, the news on the global scene paints a very grim picture when we look at what is happening with Russia and Ukraine. And surely this crisis will not only lower fuel prices, but will also threaten global food security. Help us understand, in the context of Dominica as a small island developing state, where we stand in all of this. And obviously, you just told us how we move forward. We want to look at what is happening on Wednesday and some of the innovations that you have.
Well, the reality
is there more urgent need now because of this crisis for us to ensure that food security is high on our agenda?
There's always an urgent need for us to grow our food and to be self-sufficient in this country. Always. Because food is an important element of our survival. And we have an abundance of rich soil, adequate rainfall, and adequate sunshine in terms of open air agriculture. In controlled environment, it's even better, meaning shades or what we call greenhouses. Now, this war with Russia and Ukraine, though it is very far away from us, we're already feeling the impacts. And so we have seen a dramatic increase in the price of petroleum to $126 per barrel. We are importers of fossil fuel, diesel, gas, kerosene. So automatically you will see an increase in the price of petroleum products in Dominica, like everywhere else in the world, including the United States, including Russia itself. You see what I'm saying? And then you will see an increase in food, because Russia and Ukraine produce a significant amount of the wheat that is a base product for so many things. For so many things. And of course, all of these things will be added, and the transportation will be higher because the boats are paying more for petroleum. And so all of these are imported, what you call imported inflation. And a government has no control over imported inflation. And so this is why we have to look sometimes a lot more inward, and to some of the things that we import, look at substitutions. Look at substitutes for them. So if we're importing cornmeal, why can't we buy all of the arrowroot from the ladies in Good Hope and in Dailies, and substitute it? Let's put it on the shelves. Let's package it properly and put it on the shelves. So there are things that we can do that will not cause us to be in violation of WTO rules, etc., where by our practice we can address those things. So a lot of these things will be down as to how well we weather the storm as a result of the impacts created by the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Will base a lot on individual choices and practices, because supermarkets will sell what people buy. And so if we go into the supermarkets and say, look, show me where the Dominica chicken is located, that's all I want to buy, then the manager will get the word. You see. But if we go and we're looking for the imported chicken, then they will increase their supply of the imported chicken. So a lot of that has to do with individual choices. What we're doing in the government is to provide the facilitation so that our citizens, our farmers, our agro-processors, and this is why this small business money is so timely that it will give these businesses some working capital, monies to buy equipment, monies to improve on their operations, to enable them to sustain themselves, and thereby increasing production and increasing supply to our domestic markets.
Agriculture Minister, how much has your ministry done in ensuring that we get it right as far as food security is concerned? Have we had consultations? Do we have workshops and things like that to ensure that we are on the right trajectory? Because these are challenging times.
Yes, we do have workshops. One of the strengths of the ministry is that we constantly train. So we are constantly in the fields with our farmers, training them. But along with all of this, we have to always pay attention to the investments being made in agriculture. And I speak of the $67.5 million being invested following Hurricane Maria. And this continues to bear fruit because the ministry's mandate has now moved from restoration to a food security issue. And what we have seen because of those interventions over the last 2-3 years, we have never had an issue of food security, and it's important that we note that. So we are now self-sufficient in eggs, local chicken, local pork. There are a number of interventions that we have made that are now bearing fruit. So what we have seen is that we are now sustainable, but apart from that, we are becoming more and more resilient in our practices. So as we speak, we have given out engines. These engines are more fuel efficient, lower maintenance. We are in the process of building better boats, more efficient boats, so that our fisher folk can be safer at sea. We are also building resilient pens for our livestock farmers. We are talking about in the tune of over $2.6 million being invested in pens, resilient structures, that is, for over 300 livestock farmers. And then we speak of the interventions where we have given out tools, water pumps, water tanks. So sometimes we hear farmers speak of the irrigation being a challenge, and we have catered for that. So we have provided water pumps, we have provided water tanks. So we now, thankfully, we have a little rain this current season, but we have provided these things so that the farmers can now become resilient and we can now have food all year round. So these are the sort of investments that are now bearing fruit. So while the world has food security issues, we have food here that we can provide the world with.
You're listening to Talking Points on DBS Radio and Kyrie FM, and we are also on social media. We have with us as our guest Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, and we also have the Minister with responsibility for Agriculture, National Food Security, the Blue and Green Economy, Honorable Fidel Grant. We will take your calls in a short while. We have, of course, to lay the foundation. There are so many innovations in agriculture that we want to talk about. Even this Wednesday, there's a consultation that the Prime Minister mentioned earlier. Prime Minister, give us more details on this consultation. Who are we targeting? How significant is this? And why did you decide to focus on this, and I mean government?
Well, it is a session that will involve everyone in the value chain. Farmers, fisher folk, agro-processors, supermarkets, restaurants, hotels, hucksters, poultry farmers, pork farmers, livestock farmers, and others. Vets, because we have animal health issues. So we have a wide cross-section of people who will be involved in this. Also the financial institutions, because they have a part to play, the aid bank and other credit unions and so forth, in terms of financing and access to financing.
Women will be playing a big role there as well, because we have women farmers.
Oh yes. So it's youth, women, men in agriculture, everybody. And the idea is to have a conversation. It's not going to be an argument, it's going to be a conversation among stakeholders to discuss the current state of production and the current state of supply. And what are the challenges those of us who produce have in selling? Mm-hmm. And what are the challenges those of us who purchase have in getting the supply, the right quality, the quantity, and the regularity of the supply of those. And therefore, and what can we do to address those production issues and supply issues, and what can we do to address those sourcing issues? Okay, and get out there. So the fishermen and so forth, what challenges you have in selling your fish to the supermarkets and to the restaurants and so forth, and of course the abattoir will be there to indicate what challenges having in selling the local meat and so forth, and in getting meat, also selling and so forth. So the idea is to have a conversation among ourselves to leave this meeting with a clear understanding on first what can we do to reduce on the imports we have in Dominica. Because the things that we importing, we can reduce on them or eliminate them completely. Cabbage. I don't see why we should be importing cabbage in Dominica, whether it is the green cabbage or the purple cabbage. Cantaloupes. We shouldn't be importing cantaloupes. We can grow cantaloupes in Dominica. Watermelon. We should not be importing any watermelon, not even a seed of watermelon. You understand? And we have to look at the seasonality of these crops. Why are we only producing these crops during a particular season? Why are we not producing throughout the year? You know, tomatoes, all of these things that we have to look at. Broccoli, cauliflower, and what can we do to reduce this? The ripening of bananas and the sale of bananas to our students and to the restaurants and to the hotels, etc. So these are the kind of discussions we're going to be having. This kind of things we've been discussing on Wednesday, jointly led by myself and the Minister of Agriculture. And so that we leave this meeting, of course, Ministry of Trade will be there, the DEXA will be there because we had the pack house that we buy produce from farmers to sell, and we have DEXA who also buys from the farmers and so on. Are we running these entities in a transparent way? What are the concerns farmers have in accessing sales to the pack house and to DEXA, and so what can we do? So I want us to have a very respectful, honest engagement with ourselves, because we have to ensure that we continue to evaluate and assess where we are with things, so that we are always one step ahead of the challenges that will be experiencing, or we are experiencing, or will experience down the road, and also prepare ourselves to the increased visitor arrivals. I mean, we are seeing gradually more people are coming to the country, and so forth. The other issue of the cruise ships. How can we sell some of those things to the cruise ships that come in? You know, what are the elements that we have to be mindful of? So even the Ministry of Tourism will be part of this. Invest Dominica will be part of this. You know, so that DDA needs to be part of this. It's going to be a whole cross section of society that will be part of those consultations, because agriculture has to continue to be everybody's business. They say tourism everybody's business, but I'm saying emphatically that agriculture has to be everybody's business. And I am saying that there are huge opportunities for farmers and agriculture in Dominica. And one of the things that I am very excited about is that I have seen over the last 5, 6, 7 years an increased number of young professionals who are involved in agriculture, medical doctors, business people, lawyers, accountants, you know, people with MBAs and so forth, involved in growing food. And I think that a lot of the things happen in agriculture that we don't highlight sufficiently. You know, there are a lot of positive things happening that I believe that we need to speak about. So this Wednesday, I'm very excited about it. I think it's be a great day for farmers and for agriculture in Dominica, and I believe it can lend itself to huge opportunities of having a focused approach as a country, and to ensure that we can corner the market, not only the Dominica market but even the regional markets. And one of the things we're going to be doing is to set up a special unit in the Ministry of Trade to join forces with DEXA and the Hawks Association and Invest Dominica. Because Invest Dominica is not only to sit there and wait for people to bring in a proposal. We have to go out and fetch opportunities. And the whole idea behind this is to set up this marketing arm that can go from island to island and to speak to governments and to speak to purchasers of our agricultural produce, and to promote the sale of Dominica produce, both fresh produce and processed produce. And so you're going to see a very heightened approach to going very aggressively into the regional markets by a government paid team of people who can go in and promote agriculture the same way we go and promote tourism across the world for Dominica. So that's the same approach we're going to be taking, and having a focused approach to it with regards to that.
Very interesting. A lot is happening, but there are critics who think that nothing is happening. Agriculture Minister, how important do you see this in terms of engaging, you know, those various groups and key stakeholders and individuals at a consultation like this?
It's an excellent idea. It would be one that where we look forward to the ideas coming out from the participant. But just to reiterate something that the Prime Minister said as it relates to the young professionals now going into agriculture. When you go into a business, and the reason for investing in a business is because you are confident of the returns. And that is why you now have more persons going into agriculture, because what this government has done is we have created an environment where persons are confident that making an investment in agriculture will bear significant returns. So this consultation, what we're trying to do is bridge the gap between the market and the farmers, where we get everybody what it is that we are doing wrong, what it is that we can improve on. So let's hear from you. Let us continue to develop the sector, and we need your participation, because the government has created an environment, whether it's through concessionary financing, concessions in terms of duties and taxes. I mean, it's still tax-free. You don't pay no tax on agriculture income. We provide training, we provide the seedlings. What we have done is just truly remarkable in terms of the agriculture environment. And what we need now from our stakeholders and from our farmers and our fisher folk is to continue to treat agriculture as a business, because the investments are bearing significant returns.
Mm-hmm. Talking point on DBS Radio and Kyrie FM and social media as well. And in a short while, we will take your contributions. 1-800-327-448-3284-616-1327. And if you're calling from overseas, call us on 305-432-9744. We have 1 hour with the Prime Minister and the Minister for Agriculture. So at 10:30 we end. I hope that they can give us an extra 15 minutes. But we'll see how it goes. A very interesting discussion as they put agriculture on the front burner. And as the Prime Minister said, on Wednesday there's a very important consultation, and we want to look at that. But I want to now turn to another innovative project that government will soon launch, and the Prime Minister alluded to this very, very early, in supporting the commercialization of agriculture production and agribusiness as well. Who is this project targeting, Prime Minister? Tell us about your plans for this particular initiative. I know you made mention of it earlier, but let us go into details.
Yeah, when we started in the Ministry of Agriculture, the high value crops, and I spoke earlier of cauliflower. You're talking about bell peppers, the red and yellow bell peppers. You go to the supermarkets, these things are costly. You know, you import these things and they're very expensive. You have cantaloupes, you have even tomatoes too. You know, you have the purple cabbage I mentioned, especially purple cabbage, the green ones, but especially purple ones. You talk about beans. So the number of crops or produce which fetch a high price on the supermarkets and in Dominica. And the whole idea is to present a proposal to young professionals in agriculture, especially those who have degrees in agricultural science or a related field, and even maybe broader than that. And to say to them, why can't you form yourselves into a company? Be shareholders in this company. To target these crops. And the reason why we're targeting these crops, so that we do not compete with the farmers who are engaging in this, because the fact of the matter is many farmers don't plant cauliflower in any large extent, or cantaloupes or broccoli, or even bell peppers in any significant quantity. So we're not going to compete with the already existing farmers. We're going to be complementing them. Okay? And the whole idea is to present this proposal to them. Form a company. Be shareholders in the company. The government will provide the land. The government will provide the greenhouses. The government will help you with the planting material to start up. And the government will provide you with labor for 6 months.
You mentioned the provision of land as well?
Yeah, land. And the government will put in the irrigation system. So all you have to now do is to use your knowledge in agriculture, your knowledge in accounting, your knowledge in business, to manage this company and to manage the farm and to deal with and your knowledge in marketing to market these crops. Because if we can end the importation of broccoli and cauliflower and bell peppers. Just this. I'm not going to even go into the others. There are many others that people are mentioning as they listen to me. But there's a whole list of those things that we can produce in Dominica. And you can see $2, $3, $4 million in the short term staying in Dominica. In the short term.
Oh, good and pleasant.
Or in the immediate term staying in Dominica. So if you have shareholders running a company and your turnover is $2 million as a small business, that's a significant business. And you have opportunities to grow. And let us run a model farm so that the rest of us can learn from this and run our business this way. And the issue of poultry, the issue of pork. What can we do? We're presenting the same proposals to you to be able to help this country reduce on the importation of chicken parts and pork. We largely self-sufficient in pork, but we still import certain parts and so forth. And so these are some of the proposals we're going to be presenting, and later on we'll be meeting with them. But that's something I will mention as well on Wednesday. But we'll certainly be meeting with young professionals, and the ministry, I believe, will be going about soliciting interest, and so that we meet those who are willing to put what they've learned and the interest into a practical process of growing food. And so the whole idea is to, as I said, corner the markets and to create opportunities for people, create opportunities for them to create wealth for themselves, and for us to reduce on the food import bill, because we can't reduce the food import bill by talking or by criticizing. We reduce the food import bill by 1, growing food, and 2, consuming what we grow. And I want to hear from the supermarkets, how can you assure us that when we grow these things, you will buy them and buy them in the quantities that are available?
And this will also create the enabling environment for more markets.
I should maybe have you as a guest speaker at that engagement. But you're certainly right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm personally, and this is why I'm involved in it as Prime Minister, because I believe that that agriculture is so critical, and this is why I've always been involved in agriculture. And ensuring that always agriculture remains at the center of the government's policy initiatives and financing, and ensuring that we can provide the farmers with the support that they need and to sell and so forth, and also to hear from the hucksters and the consultation on Wednesday on what can we do to facilitate you. Back in the days, we had provided for example, we had put in some money at the DEX here, where we provide some working capital to hucksters, because one of the things hucksters need to address is the time it takes to pay the farmers, from when they get the produce to paying the farmers. And what we did, we provided bridge financing to them. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you do get a $40,000-$50,000 to buy the produce and be able to pay the farmers in a quicker time, and be able to buy more produce from the farmers and so forth. So there are a number of exciting things I believe that we can do, we have been doing, but we're seeking to bring even more focus to it. So these things are happening, but to bring more focus to it, because as you rightly said, you always hear the criticism, oh, we can't sell our produce, or we're not getting enough to buy, etc., etc. So let us reconcile all of those quote unquote shortcomings or criticisms that we hear, and let us have a practical and pragmatic approach to addressing this. And I'm very excited for this, about this, and I really look forward to Wednesday. But also very importantly to this other innovative project of engaging young professionals to grow food and to supply the local markets, and this could be a stepping stone in our preparation to be able to take advantage of the opportunities which the international airport will provide.
And even at the school curriculum, we could strengthen, the curriculum where agriculture is concerned. But we are getting a lot, of course. I see the phones are really going. So let me take a pause to take some calls. DBS Radio, Talking Points. We are also on Carry FM. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Prime Minister. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, sir.
Yes, this is Carlos, right? You always do good for Dominica because you know why? I come when you raise up on acres. We all of us used to have our backyard garden those days, you know, and we were doing well. So you set me a right path for Dominica, right? And right now you're driving sick, so you will always do good for Dominica. Good morning, sir. I'm Fidel Grant.
Yeah. One card mustn't. That's last time they mention your name. You know, interesting.
Okay,
right,
that's it.
you.
Thanks for your contribution. Let's take another call quickly. Good morning, Talking Points. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for taking my call. I want to tell to the PM, you see the critics, I want them to look into the mirror. That is the first point. And PM, I have a question for you, right? In the last 4 years, Dominica go through so much of disasters. We had pandemic, we had Maria. I don't want to ask.
Hello. Well, that person will have to call us back. Let's go to another line. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, my question is, well, not a question, it's a suggestion really about dissemination.
Hello. I'm not sure what the problem is this morning with the lines.
Is that a DBS problem?
I hope not, and I really doubt. But we will see what happens.
Yeah.
We are on Talking Point, of course, with Kyrie FM as well. 1-800-327-448-3282, 448-3284, 616-1327. And if you're calling me from overseas, it's 305. And look, I forgot the number, but I'll give it to you in a short while, the overseas line, because we have someone on the overseas number. Good morning. Welcome. Hello, good morning. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi.
Yes, go ahead. Well, you are cutting off. The manager is here, so we'll have to see what can be done. The manager will have to be reprimanded somewhat. 305.
The previous caller was saying about.
I think the person is still on the line, though, PM. Let's see. Hello, good morning. Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me? Good morning.
Yes, just go ahead. We are hearing you. Go ahead.
Okay, listen, I want to tell the critics, right, to look into the mirror. And PM, when there is challenges, you need a challenging leader, and you put up your hand, right? And
Wow. Okay. Sorry about that. We seem to be experiencing difficulties.
Well, the caller's referencing, Hurricane Maria and Erica, and of course the pandemic, and now the war in Ukraine, and maybe wanting to ask, how have we been able to mobilize the resources and to keep things going, and I recall after Maria, my first objective, and I met with some agriculturists in Dominica, experienced people like Stevenson, Kevin Stevenson, and of course people like Mr. Bully, Colin Bully, and others, and we put a quick strategy in place, and the whole idea was to get seedlings to farmers quickly,
and agriculture resilience program,
and to get things going, so that we can get back to planting and to eating, and Hurricane Maria happened in September. By December, we were exporting to the islands already. Because of the fact that we put in money and planting material into the farmers and inputs. It's amazing. Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to the telephone. Good morning. Yes, caller, go ahead. Wow, you have a bad line. It's distorted from your end. Hello? Okay, so we move on. Honorable Grant, as the minister most in touch with the farmers and the agriculturalists in the various communities, how do you expect such an idea to resonate with them? And I talk about this innovation in agriculture.
I believe, Ivona, it will resonate very well, because what we see coming from this is that some of the government's policies and some of the government's major pillars all coming together under one roof. So what you have the education policy, the one graduate per household, where we are now targeting our professionals who have come back with the certain skill sets and certain degrees. You have the tourism that we have been also promoting. You have agriculture, and of course you have the international airport. So what you have is that all these pillars and policies are now coming under one roof. So what you will see is that our young professionals will continue to thrive in terms of the techniques will be passed on. So what you would see is the continuity and the longevity in the agriculture sector, and also the innovation, the technology, all coming under one roof. But most critically is the business aspect of it, because we have been on a call where agriculture has to be treated as a business. So we would see the expansion in terms of our hotels. Produce will be available, a wide range of produce will now be available consistently. So you have a consistent quality, you have a consistent supply, which is what our industry has been calling for. So all the well-wishers and so on within the agriculture sector are looking forward to this engagement. It's something that they have been asking for some time, and we are just happy that we could give it to them. What we are hoping for is that these young people take this opportunity, take this investment that the government are yet making in them and the sector, and go miles with it.
Okay, it's Talking Points on DBS Radio and Carrier FM on GIS as well. We have the Prime Minister with us. By the way, we are discussing innovation in agriculture. So that is the subject today. I know many of you have other concerns, other suggestions, other questions that you want to ask. But we have agriculture this morning on the front burner. Let us go back to the telephone. Good morning.
Are you hearing me now?
I am hearing you. Go ahead.
Grant, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
First of all, Prime Minister, let me compliment you for doing and trying your best for the development of our country.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
It's a compliment.
Thank you.
Statement. You need more time as a Prime Minister to see the citizens of this country. Question. For the past 20 years, there had been a civil war up in Syria. And we know approximately 500,000 people have died.
Is your question relating to agriculture and the innovations in agriculture? As I said, we have a specific topic. I know you would want to ask other questions, but today we want to focus on agriculture. There will be times when the Prime Minister will come on again and we will have other subjects. But we are discussing the innovation.
Get him on soon.
We are,
get him on
yes,
soon.
yes, we'll get him on soon. But this morning we are focusing on agriculture. It's ahead of a
Right.
big consultation, a major consultation. Okay, thanks for your contribution. Let's go to another line. Good morning, Talking Point. Yes, go ahead, please. Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning.
Sir, and good morning, Mr. Fidel Grant. Now, Prime Minister, it's a very good thing you are doing to the getting treatment for the people.
Just speak up a little, please. Speak up a little. We can hardly hear you.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
I would like to give my advice on the input in agriculture. I think we should grow bananas and take goody and byproducts like banana flour and cassava, because it's a big thing now. So I think we should, the farmers should go back to it too, because the banana flour, the coconut flour, all these are big things. And I think there's another thing, another plant that when I'm growing up, I think they call swell. It's like a strawberry. I think we should go into it. Okay, thank you, Prime Minister, and keep on the good work you are doing. Thank you. Good morning.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the suggestions from the caller are in line with what we're talking about. She mentioned strawberries. You can grow strawberries in the backyard, and we're importing these things. So there are a number of crops, number of produce that we're importing that I believe that we can dramatically put a dramatic end to by us growing these things and ensuring that we can consume them locally in the first instance. So your suggestion is consistent with our thinking. Thank you very much.
But Agriculture Minister, let us look a little at the development of the banana and plantain sector in particular. The many challenges, of course, among them trade regulations, the black sigatoka we faced in the past. What is the way forward where bananas are concerned in particular?
Well, there is still much a market for bananas. Our bananas here are still much in demand in the Caribbean islands. What we still have is the issue of black sigatoka, but that again we continue to provide support to our farmers. But it also, the farmers have to take on some responsibility in terms of the treatment and the management of their own farms. But there is still a market. Our plantains are still selling. Just last night I was at the Longhouse and you could see the movement and the quantities of our plantains being exported. Our bananas, we have a little shortage in terms because some farmers have diversified into the plantains and other crops. But we encourage farmers to continue to plant bananas because there is a market. on a weekly basis. As it is now, as we speak, we cannot fill the demand regionally for our local bananas.
Let's go back to the telephone. We have callers on the line. Good morning, Talking Point. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, what I mischievous persons who will always pretend that nothing is happening in agriculture. But there are also people who do not know what is happening. And what I'm suggesting to the Prime Minister and the Minister is that they find more innovative ways to put out the information and more and put out more information. Don't just rely on traditional media like the radio. Use Facebook, use WhatsApp, put out flyers, bombard the media. There will always be those who will say nothing happening. But we need to let more people know what is happening, not only in Dominica but outside Dominica, because we also want outsiders to come in Dominica and invest. So if they know, the outsiders know more of what is happening, they're more likely to come and invest, because we need outsiders to bombard us with information, find more creative ways to put out the information there. And I just want to congratulate them on doing a good job. Thank you.
Thanks for your contribution.
No, I mean, the call is correct. I mean, I say that always in the cabinet and within the government system, that we do not speak to the public sufficiently and share with the public what we're doing on their behalf. There are a lot of things happening. I guess, we are a party that, we don't, we do work because we have to do the work. And sometimes we do not spend time explaining what we're doing or highlighting what we're doing. But there are a lot of things happening across the government system, which I believe that we need to ensure that we continue to provide the public information. Notwithstanding the pandemic, there's so many positive, constructive things happening in this country. It's amazing, and the talent that we have within the country and the resources that we're making available for various interventions is huge, and so I agree entirely, and we will try to work on this. Sometimes we have a knee-jerk reaction and we provide all the information and then you don't hear from us. So I think there has to be some consistency in terms of the public education and public information. And let people do what they want with information. If people want to continue to say nothing happening, then that's up to them. But there are a lot of things happening in agriculture, in education, in health, in finance, so there are a number of things happening across the board that sometimes because maybe our humanity within the government, sometimes we just move to the next challenge, and so I think that's part of it too, is the whole profoundness of our humility, that you don't, you do something, okay, well, great, we did a road for $11 billion, let's move on to the next project, so and I'm not criticizing anybody or anything. That is also across the board thing that for years we've been talking about this, and I'm happy that we at least we try to create opportunities where we can engage more and share more and be questioned by the public, because the interaction with the public is paramount.
And as you said, I must thank the Ministry of Agriculture, the Forestry Division as well in particular, because they are on regularly every week with, in fact, 2 programs per week, so they are disseminating the information. But we have calls on the line. Let us take the overseas number. Good morning, it's Talking Point. Okay, so we lost that call. Good morning on the other line. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, go ahead.
DBS?
Good morning. Yes, it is.
Yes, morning. Prime Minister, can you tell us what is your plan for the coffee plant that was gifted to us and the coffee industry on a whole?
Yeah, well, the coffee plant, as you know...
That's it, caller?
Yeah, the coffee plant, as you know, was impacted by the hurricane. We've been working in Venezuela to assist to get it moving. Obviously, the sanctions in Venezuela on Venezuela by the U.S. government has impacted Venezuela's ability to do financial transactions, because they have the funds, they have difficulty in paying the Canadian firm to come to do the repairs to the coffee plant for us and so forth. I mean, I met with the ambassador, for example, in Belize during the CARICOM meeting, and that was the main point of lamentation. So the funds are there. The challenge is to pay the contractors to come in from Canada to do the repairs to the coffee plant, which is and so you have a sanction in Venezuela, but it has a heavy impact on us here in terms of our own ability sometimes on certain things. So that's the real hold up on this, my dear friend.
Mr. Minister, how much in terms of this innovation in agriculture, how much is there as far as the fisher folk are concerned, the fishery sector?
Well, as we speak, Ivona, we have a significant investment in terms of our fisheries complex. It's just over 27 million EC dollars. It's been spent on the rehabilitation of both the Marigot and Roseau fisheries complex. Now, it's not just the structure. There are a number of interventions that are happening inside of these buildings. So you're talking of improved ice machines, improved ice facilities, machines that will be used in terms of the cleaning and the preparation of the fish for sale. You have refrigerated trucks which we use. We have a few now, and these are critical because they help in the disseminating of ice during the pandemic. So you get fresh fish because our ice machines are up and running, and we are improving on them. So we also have training, technology in terms of our fads that are being installed. So you will see that there's a regular catch along the fish landing sites, and these are because we have installed several fads across the ocean. And these are the things that we speak of when we talk of innovation. So we have technology in terms of we encourage our fisher folks in terms of the use of GPS, use of radios, and so on. So you will hear a fisherman lost at sea because of the improve in terms of their communication skills and the training which we have been providing to them.
What about storage though? Do we have adequate storage facilities?
Well, part of the rehabilitation of the thing is to provide storage. So there will be improved storage in terms of fishermen and the storage. And all of this will be done both at Marigot and at the Roseau Fisheries Complex.
Let us take another call. Good morning, Talking Points. You are on.
Hello, good morning.
Yes. Good morning.
My only concern I want for the Prime Minister is or Mr. Agriculture, when do you have plan to fix the Calibishi main road? The Calibishi feeder road.
Feeder road.
Thank you.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
The Calibishi feeder road is on the cards for repair, the Middle Ridge Road specifically. That is just over $3-4 million, and we should see work commence. The contract has been awarded and signed.
1-800-327-448-3284, 616-1327. You could also call us on the overseas line. It's 305-432-9744. Let's go to the overseas number. Good morning. You're on to Talking Points. Okay, we lost that call. We take another call. Good morning. You are on.
Good.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Good morning to you, my dear, and how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm fine, thank you.
Yes, go ahead. Listen to us on the telephone, please, not on your...
Okay, I am on the phone. I'm hearing you.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm saying good morning to you and all the others who are on the panel this morning, especially my Prime Minister. Good morning to you, my son.
Good morning, ma'am.
May God continue to bless, guide, protect, and direct you. May He hold your hands and walk with you through the darkest night and the brightest day. Okay, my son?
Thank you very much.
Continue to pray. God gave you to us. You are the best that ever happened to us in this country. Keep on holding on. Don't give up.
Thank you.
And you are doing a fantastic job. And I call in on the farmers. Do not turn their back. Just be and work with you, that they will develop our country, because God sent them to work in the vineyard.
Okay.
And that is what you are doing, to bring food for us, to bring fish for us. And we need it, and you're building houses, you're covering the nation. And that's what God sent you to do, my Prime Minister.
Thank you.
You're doing the work for the Lord.
Thank you.
Okay.
So the farmers have to give praise and thanks to God on your behalf. Have a blessed day.
Take care.
I love you, I love you, I love you. Thank you very much. God bless.
So you say the minister, for example, a call on from Calibishi about the farm road in Calibishi. Now over $4 million have been contracted to do this road. So we really need to improve on the provision of information, because it's a massive investment in the village of Calibishi.
Yeah.
They deserve all the investments they can get in terms of agriculture, because they're real wonderful producers. But I think we need to find a way of sharing this information to them.
Yes, and Honorable Minister, I think you have to set up some communication with us to see how we can make this work.
No problem,
the information because
we'll improve on what already exists.
Yes, even on the news and the announcements, I realize that there's a lot happening, but it would be interesting to get more details. Let us let people know more.
But I would really love to stay a few more longer. Whenever I come to DBS, I don't want to leave, though you guys don't invite me as often as you should. But whenever you invite me, I do come.
Well, I see you're a big talk show host now, so
I do appreciate the opportunity. I would like to stay until 11, but I have an 11 o'clock. Meeting. The cabinet is in fact meeting with the hospital authority. Obviously, the authority has been in place for some time, for some months now. They've been doing some fantastic work, but obviously we have to be mindful of the criticisms and the concerns being raised by the public, and so far we need to have those things reconciled and ensure that the hospital functions to the satisfaction of the clients, Dominican people. So the Minister of Health, myself, and the entire cabinet will be meeting with the hospital authority and other ministry officials to discuss those issues. But thanks for making the time. Just to say to the country, do not believe this nonsense you're hearing. Agriculture for this government will always be priority number one. Always be priority number one. What we do is to ensure that we can create more avenues for the sale of your produce and to produce more, and so that we can have more wealth among farmers and fisher folk and agro-processors, and this is what we're doing, and you will see even more actions will be taken to further enhance the opportunities for farmers and fisher folk and all of us involved in the agricultural sector.
The calls are coming, but we have to end. But very quickly, Prime Minister, even before you leave, just sway a little from agriculture. It's Commonwealth Day. Some people think that there's not much significance now.
No,
what will you say to
Commonwealth Day is a significant day for us. We've always celebrated it, obviously because of the virus and so forth. We have not had a church service. It's a group of nations that's very important. I personally have a lot of affinity and affection for Her Majesty, the Queen of the United Kingdom. I mean, she's a wonderful lady, and she has led the Commonwealth over so many years with grace and gravitas, and the United Kingdom has been a strong partner of Dominica in our social and economic development, and it's an opportunity for us to reflect on the many successes of this group of nations called the Commonwealth. But it's an important organization, it's an important grouping of nations, and we will continue to participate in all spheres of the Commonwealth. As you know, we are giving our firm support to Baroness Scotland for her second term, and she has received tremendous support from CARICOM for her candidacy, and I believe that the next meeting will be in June or July in Kigali. So we look forward to this Commonwealth meeting, face-to-face meeting, hopefully, and also Dominica stands ready to continue to play its part, and we wish Her Majesty the Queen and her entire family well. His Royal Highness Prince Charles has been a strong advocate for issues of climate change, and he's helped Dominica, and of course the British government has helped Dominica in mobilizing resources and bringing attention to our own plight, being on the front line of the impact of climate change. So it's I think every Dominican must celebrate and continue to celebrate the Commonwealth, and of course today being Commonwealth Day.
Well, let me thank you, Prime Minister and Honorable Fidel Grant. Don't be strangers. We should do this more often. I think every month or every 2 weeks we should have a minister on, and let us look at what is happening in the various ministries. Not too long ago, I had PS Gloria Joseph, and I was amazed, that there is so much happening. So I think that we should do this more often. I know Focus on Government and Development tackles that every Thursday night, but I think we should have more. Let Dominicans know.
I'll let you come back, and I'll like to use the entire hour for questions.
Right.
I will
tell you the calls are
I will
coming.
say nothing, and I will give the entire hour for questions. So we'll try to schedule it at some point.
We will. Thanks again. Honorable Grants, good morning to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That's Talking Points this morning. And we heard from Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit and also the Minister with responsibility for Agriculture, the Blue and Green Economy and National Food Security, Honorable Fidel Grant. And we thank Kyrie FM, GIS as well, the social media, and DBS Radio. We are very pleased that we could bring this to you this morning. And remember, today is Commonwealth Day, so let's observe Commonwealth Day, not in the grand style that we would have had in the past years, because we know, of course, what challenges COVID has brought about. But let us remember that we are part of the Commonwealth. It's difficult times when you look at what is happening in Ukraine and Russia, but we have to move on as a small island developing state. The challenges are many for us, but we will march on. This is Talking Points. Let me thank you for joining us this morning. We'll come again tomorrow. There's a guest tomorrow as well, a very interesting discussion we should have tomorrow. So join us then. Good morning.